Welcome to Binge Breakthrough, the podcast designed to help you finally break through the barriers that keep you stuck feeling out of control around food. I'm Master Certified Coach Jane Pilger, and I want you to know that no matter how long you've been struggling or what you've tried, food freedom is possible, and I'm here to show you how. After years of therapy, eating disorders treatment, restrictive diets, and reading all the books, I was still stuck in the on-again, off-again cycle of restricting and binging until I was able to see it all from a new perspective that changed everything. Each week, I will share the strategies, tools, and mindset that allowed me to overcome my decades-long battle with binge eating. Your journey to body trust starts now. Let's dive in. Hello, trusted listener. Welcome to Binge Breakthrough. I consider you a trusted listener because I trust that you are listening to this podcast for a reason. I trust that you are going to hear something today that is insightful and impactful on your journey with food. So if you are listening to this podcast when it airs, it is February of 2025. And in the month of February, we're going to be exploring topics around your relationship with yourself and your body. I always find that February is kind of the month, it's Valentine's Day and people are thinking about love, self-love, their bodies. I think it's always a great time to kind of look inward and really look at your relationship with yourself. Because here's what I know to be true. If you don't change your relationship with yourself, your relationship with food will never be what you want it to be. If you are trying to change your body or what or how you eat in order to like or love or approve of yourself, that will never work. I can't tell you how many people I know who have changed their eating approach, who have ended up in a different size body, only to have the same doubts, fears, and insecurities about themselves. People who were just convinced if only I could lose weight, then I'll feel better about myself. Then I can love myself. Then I can have a better relationship. I can treat myself better. I can talk to myself better when I change, when I lose weight, whatever it is. And then what happens? The body size changes, but what doesn't change? The dialogue, the relationship, what's happening in between yourself and yourself. You are the one that you spend the most time with. So we need to examine your relationship with yourself. Your relationship with yourself is an inside job. It can't be changed by anything outside of you, including what you eat or what your body looks like. So yes, you can absolutely pay attention to what you eat. What I find is when you have a better relationship with yourself, a lot of times what you eat, how you eat, ends up being reflective of that. You're no longer disconnecting from yourself, whether it is intentionally or unintentionally from even a nervous system response. But so many times, even from a nervous system disconnection, we're disconnecting from ourselves because there is a sense it is not safe for me to be with myself. So we disconnect. And a lot of times we use food to disconnect. So what do we need to do? We need to cultivate safety with ourselves. So that relationship with ourselves is really key. So we're going to be diving more into this in some of the episodes to come. But with that, let's actually dive into today's topic, which is a little bit related to your relationship with yourself. What we're going to talk about today is those times we dismiss ourselves. You ever notice when you start making progress towards something and then you say, yeah, but, You dismiss yourself. You dismiss what is happening. You dismiss the progress, the good in your life, the things that are moving in the direction you want them to move. Yeah, but we're going to talk about this, why this happens, how to recognize it, and what to do about it. So this was inspired by, I was recently I do this, it's basically online bike racing. And so it's called Zwift for anybody who is familiar with Zwift, but you're basically on a bicycle, on a trainer, indoors, and you're essentially it's like a video game, but with your bicycle. And so your trainer, the bicycle, is communicating with the Zwift racing software, and it has your data, your power, all of these things. You're basically racing your bike virtually with other people all around the world. It's really pretty amazing. I started doing this in the pandemic in 2020, and I have met incredible women literally from all over the world, including my current triathlon coach, all through this online bike racing. And I'm in this part of this race series where you race with a group of people all at the same time, but we're all in our own homes racing each other kind of head to head. So I did a race. It was actually yesterday. I did a race yesterday, and my goal in this race was to be with the front pack. Now, there are different levels of racing. You get categorized based on people so that you're racing with people who are around your same ability, which makes it great so that you're with people who are around your same ability. Well, I have been through a lot of different scenarios with this bike racing. And I would go into these races and think, oh, I can't hang on. I can't hang with a group. This is so hard. And I would kind of be afraid. I would be afraid of the effort. I would be afraid of the intensity. I would be afraid I couldn't hold on. And I've been doing a lot of my own work in kind of the way that I talk to myself when it gets hard, the way that I talk to myself about it. I also have I was racing in a higher level group, and I found that I couldn't keep up with them, and it was hard for me. So I adjusted now who I'm racing with, which has made a very big difference. So I'm meeting myself where I am in this group, and so my goal was to be with the front pack. Now, in the past, I used to think, don't fall off. Don't get dropped from the group. Can you hear the difference even in that? When I'm thinking, don't fall off, don't get dropped, that's really kind of coming from fear, from a don't get dropped. It's going to be bad if you get dropped. I changed my goal to stick with the front pack, putting my brain to work on what I wanted. So here I am in the race. I'm with the front pack. I'm riding in the front pack, and I notice myself, what am I doing? What's my brain doing? I'm focusing on, I had made a couple of tactical errors during the race, and I find myself thinking, yeah, I'm with the front pack. Yeah, but I made this error in this one. And yeah, but when this happened over here, I went too early. Yeah, but I started seeing the yeah, but. And when I started that ride, before I got on that bike yesterday, I would have told you if I could be in the front pack, I would be thrilled. And there I was in the front pack, noticing what was wrong. Yeah, but. So I want you to think about your own personal example. When was the last time you gave yourself a little yeah, but? It could be anything. Here, sometimes I hear it around food. Somebody might say, I had this desire to binge right after lunch, and I recognized it. I used my tools. I used my framework. I did all of this. I was able to, kind of be with that, and it passed. And then a couple of hours later, and somebody like, wow, that's so amazing. Like, look at all the things you did. Yeah, but I binged later that afternoon. Or yeah, but I still binged the next day. Yeah, but we don't recognize or honor our progress. We want to say, yeah, but. So think for you. Do you have your own example the last time that you did this? So there's a great book that really kind of focuses on this, that talks about this very concept. It's called The Gap and the Gain. And I'll link to it in the show notes, but it's called The Gap and the Gain. And it basically tells us, it spells this out. The Cliff Notes version is that our brain likes to look at the gap from where we are now to where we want to be, instead of the gain from where we used to be to where we are now. And we have to be very intentional to look for the gain instead of the gap. The brain is going to want to look for the gap. Why? Because you have a human brain. Your brain is always scanning for, am I safe? Is anything wrong? That's just, the brain is always going to be that way. You have a human brain. Welcome to being a human. But brains can change. You can change your focus with attention and intention. So with the gap and the gain, do you notice how you might do this for yourself? Are you constantly looking, yeah, but here's where I am now. Yeah, but I'm not where I want to be. And if you think about where you are right now, would a past version of you have wanted to be here? Where you are now, would a past version of you have thought, oh yeah, that would be really great? Now, for some of you, the answer is yes, for sure. And others, the answer is no. But if the answer is yes, isn't it interesting how we're constantly moving the goalpost? Here I was in the front pack of this race. Yeah, but I made those other two errors. That's where my brain was focusing, instead of, oh my gosh, look at this. Now, have you ever had a conversation with somebody and watched them do this to themselves? Watched them, yeah, but themselves? You want to celebrate with them. You want to point something out to them. And they kind of, yeah, but they dismiss themselves. How does it feel to you when you see somebody else doing this to themselves? For me, it's hard to watch somebody not be able to let their progress land, to not be able to take it in and really own the progress, own what is happening. And I'm guessing that it's hard for me to watch because I have been that person, yeah, butting myself so many times. But let me ask you this. If you are a person who, yeah, buts yourself, and I'm going to guess because you're human, you probably are, and you, yeah, but yourself at least in some area of life, what impact do you think that has? Yeah, butting yourself. What impact do you think that has on your overall results? The thing you really want for yourself. For most people, it will slow, stall, or even stop their results. If you're like, yeah, but I did that, but I didn't do this. Okay, I didn't binge yesterday, but I binged today. If you are yeah butting yourself, all you are doing is focusing on what's not working. Yeah, but I did this. Yeah, but I made these errors. If you're focused on what isn't working or what you aren't doing, that's what you are going to get more of. So what do we do with this? Notice. The first one is always awareness, right? The first step to any change is always awareness. So step one, notice when you are dismissing yourself. Listen for the yeah, but. And when you see it, don't judge it. Shame and judgment are never going to get us anywhere. We want to recognize it. And if we can stay out of shame and judgment, then we can shift it. So we see it, Don't judge it. It makes sense. You've been thinking this way. You've been dismissing yourself for a long time. So here's what you do. You shift the yeah, but to yes, and. Can you even just hear the energy shift? Yeah, but is like, yeah, but is like, it's a little tight. It's a little restrictive. It's a little constricting. Yes, and is more open. We're going to open up to other possibilities. So what would this sound like for me with a race? Yes, and I did make some tactical errors. Yes, I'm with this front group, and there's more for me to figure out. Yes, I'm with this group, and I didn't even think this was possible, and here I am. Yes, and there's more to learn. Yes, and I'm so irritated that I did that thing. Yes, and it's not a yeah, but yes. The yes is I'm owning it. I'm letting it land. And I can also acknowledge the other thing. I can acknowledge there's more that I want to do. But the yes is letting it land, acknowledging it. And also there's more. Yes, and versus yeah, but. So here's the example with food. Let's say you had an urge. You wanted to binge. You checked in with yourself. You realized what you really needed was just a break from your project. You went for a walk and you didn't binge. That urge just passed. You came back. You started working again. Then 2 hours later, you did end up binging or eating in a way that you don't prefer. So in the first situation, it's like, yeah, I didn't binge the first time, but it doesn't count because I ended up binging anyway. If we shift this to yes, and yes, I nurtured myself through that first one, and later in the day, it felt too overwhelming. Yes, I did that the first time, and the afternoon binge doesn't wipe away the earlier situation. Yes, and even though I binged later in the day, here is what was different. We want to celebrate our progress. It is so important to acknowledge our progress, to see how far we have come, even if it is a micro change. It's so important. I will link a podcast episode in the show notes about the importance of celebrating progress. It is very important for the brain. And we're going to have some future explorations around why we don't celebrate our progress and what we make it mean. Because it is hard for a lot of people to celebrate their progress. I notice this in so many clients, in so many people that I talk to. I even notice it in myself. I have gotten so much better at celebrating progress, but there are many things that prevent us from celebrating progress. And we're going to explore some of this in future explorations, whether it's on the podcast, a newsletter, an episode, article on the Peaceful Eater. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't, so that you can see additional content. I have a newsletter that I do every Monday. If you are not on the list, make sure you get subscribed to that so that you can get additional content, additional information for yourself. So we're going to explore that in the future. But for now, here's what I want you to know. Your goals, whatever you are working on for yourself, will continue to expand. Rarely does a person achieve something and then just say, oh, that's it. I'm done. Nothing else. There's nothing else I want to do with my life. I have no more aspirations. Your aspirations may look different, and they will look different as you change, as you grow, as you evolve as a person. But you will always have something that you are working towards, something that you are wanting for yourself. And your goals will continue. It's like the bike racing. It shifts for me. My goals, what I want, will continue. But why not celebrate every little milestone along the way? When we celebrate our progress, our milestones, the little things that we do, we're giving our brain the message, let's do more of this. This is what we want. It helps us continue the momentum. We can see, I am making progress. If I do more of this, I will get more of what I want. If I dismiss myself, I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't really count. Yeah, but not really good enough. Yeah, but my brain doesn't register that. It registers what's missing, what I haven't done. It doesn't register the progress. What doesn't feel possible for you today will one day totally be possible if you keep working towards it. And this is absolutely inclusive of your relationship with food. Even if it doesn't feel possible for you to be calm, connected, confident with food, if you keep working towards it, it will totally be possible. Celebrate the micro moments, the times when you do feel calm and connected, peaceful with food. Notice the progress. And yes, it's okay to let the goal line shift. What you are after, it is okay to let it shift, but don't let yourself stay in the gap between where you are and where you want to be, because that gap will always be there. There will always be somewhere else we want to be. But if we can notice the gain, where we are now compared to where we were before, how much progress, the changes that we're making. Yes, and I want more. Yes, I have made so much progress and I'm excited to do more. Yes, my relationship with food is better than it used to be and I want even more calm and connection around food. Yes, my binges aren't what they used to be and I know there is a time for me in the future where I won't binge at all. Yes, and shift your yeah buts to yes and notice what that does for you. Notice just the shift in energy within you. Yeah, but it's kind of low energy, closed energy. Shift it to yes and. Let it land. And what else? It opens you up. It gives you more energy to keep working towards the thing you want from yourself. You're working from the gain, not the gap. We're no longer in lack of where we're not. We're in, yes, let's keep moving forward. So notice when you start dismissing yourself. Notice the yeah buts. Shift it to yes and. If you notice somebody else yeah butting themselves, see what it's like to shift to yes and. Encourage them to find the yes and. So many of us don't even know or realize when we are yeah butting ourselves. Start to notice it for yourself. If you start to notice it for other people, if you want to share, make sure it's somebody who would be open to receiving this type of feedback, the yes and. But for yourself, shift yeah but to yes and, see what happens with your results. If this episode was helpful, I would love it if you would share it with a friend, and I'll see you next week. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, you will love my new book, The Binge Eating Breakthrough: Why Food Isn't the Problem and What Really Is. Discover why willpower isn't the answer, why restricting certain foods often backfires, and why understanding your brain and body is the key to lasting change. Learn to shift from shame and self-blame to curiosity and compassion. Get it today at janepilger.com/book.